This is the Infatuasian podcast, a show where we talk with Asian creators that we love. This is Curtis, and on today's show, we'll be talking with Chris from the YouTube channel Hello from Hawaii. Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to the podcast. If you've ever been to Hawaii, I'm sure like me, you've probably fantasized about being able to live there someday. And you say to yourself, man, I wonder what it's like to live in Hawaii. Well, that's kind of the question my guest has been answering for the last year and a half, 2 years on his YouTube channel. One, he lives there, and two, he answers questions like this all the time. It is Chris from the YouTube channel Hello from Hawaii. Hey, Chris.
Hey, how's it? Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you on here. Thanks for joining us. And you're on Oahu?
Yeah, so I live on Oahu. I live in Honolulu.
Is Hawaii kind of back to normal? Like, I went there last summer, and it was kind of normal, kind of different.
Yeah, I think it's probably the most normal it's been since this whole thing all started.
Mm-hmm.
And the safe travels program is gone.
Oh.
And so there's no like testing and all of that stuff. But I know locally here, the case counts have been rising, and maybe not to the scale of some of the places like on the mainland or other parts of the US. But for Hawaii, it's actually been going up. And so something to, we try to be mindful of, especially me and my family, my wife being pregnant, and we have a young son.
Yeah.
So it's something that we have to be more mindful of.
Yeah. I mean, island life, right? There's nowhere to run on the island.
Yeah. And we're especially in tight quarters here. Typically, the houses aren't that large. A lot of families in multi-generational housing, and we have a lot of get-togethers and a lot of times of celebration. I mean, it's graduation time, it's summertime, and so people are getting together. And
Mother's Day, Father's Day,
prom. I mean, just all these different things.
Yeah, that's right. Let's take a second to get to know you a little better. So you said you're born and raised in Honolulu. Do you know what generation you are, Hawaiian?
Yeah, so I am fourth generation Japanese American, so Yonsei, on both sides of my family. And I think we're originally from Japan, like way back the generations from like Hiroshima in Japan. But yeah, so I am the fourth generation, and my son now being the fifth generation here in Hawaii.
Wow. Okay, so I'm fifth San Franciscan. So
okay.
So it goes back to like early 1900s, or do you know?
I'm not exactly sure. I should probably know more of the dates.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know that my family was here had some businesses in actually the area that I'm currently living in, which is the Kaka'ako area, which is in Honolulu. And so it's kind of cool to be living here as an adult, knowing that my family way back then had businesses and lived here as well.
Yeah. And I said that wrong, right? I called you Hawaiian, but you are born in Hawaii. Yeah. Okay. What's the right way to? So if you're Hawaiian, you are Pacific Islander.
Yeah, native Hawaiian, as in a lineal descendant of someone who was here prior to Cook and on all of those people coming here to Hawaii. So yeah, but for me, I just say I'm a local. I'm from Hawaii, and I think that general term will catch pretty much everyone. But yeah, I know for some people it's a little touchy, but as someone who is from here, you kind of get used to that, and it's something that when I went away for school, it just commonly came up. So it's like
yeah. There are bigger things to get mad about.
yes. There.
All right. So the local question that we ask here in San Francisco too, but on Honolulu, I'm sure you asked this question. So where did you go to high school, Chris?
So I went to high school. I graduated from McKinley High School, which is downtown. Even though I'm not from like this area in particular, I grew up on the windward side, in Kaneohe side. So it's very green, a lot of rain, just very beautiful place. But I went to school in town, so I'm considered like a townie. Because I went to school all in town, but I'm actually from the windward side. But yeah, I graduated from McKinley High School, which is a pretty notable high school. We had Daniel Inouye and a lot of other politicians. The Rock went there when he was in Hawaii. So it's a well-known high school here, and very proud to have graduated from there.
Yeah. Now, is that a thing? Like, oh, you went, do people instantly judge or instantly get impressed by what school you want to go to?
Oh, absolutely. especially if you go to private school, people are they get so excited about where you went. But I think, when I try to talk about this on my channel about, schools and why it's so important. And it seems silly, I think, for a lot of people outside of Hawaii, but really school affiliation, it says a lot about who you are, how you grew up, and really just makes you better connected, because we all want to connect here with people. It's a small place, but it just, to get these connections, sometimes you got to kind of reach, and that high school question is really important, because we want to see, do they know so-and-so, what their background is. And that just, when you finally make that connection, it makes it really sweet, because you're like, oh yeah. And then you just keep talking story. And
yeah. You may not like this story, but when I went to UC Davis here in California, and so there's a guy on my floor named Orm, and he was from Punahou.
Oh.
And then across the hall were two guys from Iolani. Every time we had dinner together, there's always a little trash talking, it was pretty heavy rivalry going on there.
Yeah.
So I learned early that there's a thing in Hawaii about what school you go to, and those two schools in particular, the private schools.
Those two in particular, yeah.
Okay, so after high school, you go to the mainland. What school did you go to here?
So I went to the University of Northern Colorado. I went there originally to be a teacher, and I changed my major to English and journalism pretty fast. But I originally went there, and I didn't know anyone. I just went because they accepted me, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to go to the mainland. I remember realizing, like, when I got to my dorm, I was like, oh, there's like not a lot of people that look like me here. I mean, I'm used to, walking outside, and, there's Japanese and Chinese, Filipino, Hawaiian, and, in Colorado, there's really not much of that, especially where I was in Northern Colorado. You grow up so much, and you realize that Hawaii is not the center of the universe.
Right.
When you grow up here, it's like, we're so isolated. Even with technology, we're so isolated that it just seems like Hawaii is the most important deal. And I think it's really important for the younger generations to get out there. And even if it's just for 1 year, 1 semester, whatever it is, to just go and just try to live a little bit out there, or try to make it on your own, and just see how the rest of the country works, and see wonderful things that you don't get to see here.
Yeah.
Like snow, like really mostly snow. I mean, there's parts where you can see snow here, but I never saw snow until I was 18, my first semester. I never saw snow. I never experienced a lot of things. So it was really great.
I have a colleague, he grew up in Kauai, and he went to school in Michigan. Well, he went to UH, Manoa, and then he went to grad school in Michigan.
Okay.
And somewhere around September, he realized he needed more than a hoodie, because the hoodie was the thickest thing he'd ever owned in his whole lifetime. And then around September, he's like, ooh, I didn't think this through.
I had to go and buy a down jacket, and I had to get like wool socks and things I never even knew existed, because here, it gets like you start bringing out the hoodies when it turns like maybe the 60s. Then people are freezing, they're like, oh my goodness, and then most of the year it's totally fine. But when you go to the mainland, it's like, I can get to like 0, and you're just not ready for that. As a local person, you're just like, you can't even fathom that wind chill and things. It just cuts through everything you got. So
So what was the plan? So you said you wanted to be a teacher at first, and you changed to English. Was the plan to come to the mainland and stay, or eventually go back? What was the plan?
I think when I first left, my dad said, go to the mainland, finish up school, and then if you want to come back home, you can come back home. If you want to stay up there, that's totally fine. I did the mainland thing for a while. I lived on my own. I roughed it out. Okay, I guess I'm going to go back home. So, packed up everything in my car, drove to Berkeley, spent a couple months in Berkeley with my brother, and then shipped everything back home, my car and everything. And then I had no job, I was like, I guess I'm going to find something.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've been able to make it. Been here, so about 10 years now. Been back in Hawaii for 10 years after growing up. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
All right, we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second with your videos, of course. So yeah, let's talk about your channel. Hello from Hawaii. It's a great channel. People who followed our little podcast from the beginning know that we featured you on a episode way back, episode 6, I believe. We talked about YouTube channels that we like, and I found your channel. I don't know how I found your channel, but it popped up, and I liked it because it was real. It was like real talk. It was a guy from Hawaii talking about what it's like to live there, and I just started watching, and and it's kind of, I'm sure you get this all the time, that people get to know you, and they feel like your friend. So this is the first time
yeah,
we've ever talked, but
yeah,
after watching 20, 30 videos, and I see your family and I see your jobs, choices and your housing choices and stuff like that. So
yeah.
it's been what, about 2 years or
I
a
think
little
this
more?
was this is about my third year making videos on this channel. I had a previous channel. Actually, I had two previous channels before that, but this was the first one about Hawaii, and
Uh,
I just kept telling myself, like, how come nobody makes a YouTube channel about Hawaii, like for real about Hawaii, not just like
yeah,
the tourist
yeah,
vlogs and
exactly.
the vacation highlights, but like how come no one talks about like what it is to like really be here, like the issues that I think a lot of locals think about, they struggle with, and those are things that I try to talk about on my channel. It's not always trendy or it's search friendly, I guess sometimes, but for me it's things that normal people who live here, yeah, we care about these issues, we talk about them, and they're part of the real local culture here.
Yeah, yeah. So just like, I think I looked at your top video, and it's called "Life is Hard," right? Living in Hawaii, and how
Yeah,
it's not all rainbows and waterfalls. And it's gotten what, 750,000 views on that one, and you're up to 22,000 plus subscribers and over 2 million views. So it's doing well. It's doing well.
yeah, I never would have thought it would have grown this much. My first year making videos, it was just, I just wanted to make 50 videos in 1 year. That was my goal.
Yeah,
And so the fact that it's grown this much is just pretty amazing.
yeah. Do you know where your audience, like the YouTube analytics are pretty good, right? Do you know where your audience is coming from? Is it 50-50 Hawaii and other states, or?
Actually, I think most of my audience is mainland.
Oh,
If I
okay.
if I had to just take a guess, I think most of it is from the mainland. A lot of people, they either had visited or are looking to move to Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are also used to live in Hawaii, but they moved away and they're on the mainland. So I think those are a big group. I would say the majority, but there is a strong like local, like people who actually are in Hawaii, a local audience base, which is really, it's amazing to me that they would want to watch this kind of stuff. And some people just come up to us and just say, hey, saw your videos, we enjoy your videos, keep it up, really like them, thanks so much. And hearing that kind of stuff is just really, really nice. And I don't know them, it's
Yeah,
just,
yeah,
they just come up and, talk story, and I,
yeah.
I, I enjoy that.
That's very cool. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about your channel, or we could talk, not necessarily your channel, but let's talk a little bit more about kind of the stuff that you talk about on your channel. One of the topics that comes up a lot is, the finances or the economics of living in Hawaii. So number one, I think the number one lately for you has been housing and trying to
Oh,
find an
yes.
affordable house. Is that
Yes.
number one struggle in your life right now?
Yeah, I think that's probably our biggest immediate need. As our family gets bigger, we're going to need more space. We currently live in a one bedroom,
Mm,
and very thankful to own. A lot of people have to rent. I think about 42% or so have to rent in Hawaii. So
yeah.
the fact that we even own a place, I think, is just amazing. It's amazing that we're able to do it. But yeah, we do need a bigger space. And with how the housing market is, yeah, I know nationally it's very challenging. I know in California and on the
Uh-huh.
West Coast it's very, very, very competitive. But here in Hawaii, it's just gotten to the point where it seems almost impossible. If it wasn't impossible before, when the median prices were 700,000 for a home, it's over 1 million now, and it's not
Yeah.
going down.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens with the interest rates and things like that. But I don't think it's something I don't see any real solutions or anything coming up in the immediate future for us. And so that's always a struggle, and it's going to be a struggle for a lot of other local families deciding whether they want to stay or, move to the mainland.
Yeah, because, San Francisco is expensive, but, if you're willing to commute, you can move a little further away and drive in. But in Hawaii, there's a limited distance you can move from your job, and you just can't go that far, So.
Yeah, and there are houses that are a lot cheaper than in town, but the problem is the traffic. And it's like that, I'm sure, in a lot of other places where all the jobs are located are just not really near where all the housing is. And so it's a balance of, well, how does that commute time affect quality of life? Absolutely. And when I was living at home with my parents, driving into town every day, that was 30 minutes into work and maybe 50 minutes back home, and that's not even a bad drive. But there are people who spend 2 hours one way. Oof. And then 2 hours going back home, and
for like 12 miles.
yeah and they do this every single day. Sometimes for their multiple jobs they have to drive that far, and you think about the quality of life and just how much time you're spending commuting. It's really tough, and that's something that doesn't really get talked about a lot in the social medias of what Hawaii's image is. It's a lot of it is Waikiki and walking and and then biking, and that's wonderful. But when you live here, you often don't live near where you work. And that makes it really hard for a lot of families, a lot of people who have to work multiple jobs. It just becomes a huge time sink in just the commute.
Yeah, I think when they built the infrastructure there, they never imagined there'd be this many cars on the road.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So other than housing, another thing you talk about, I think is kind of funny that we don't think about as, when we visit as tourists, is just shopping and just buying stuff. And like for us, I am super spoiled. If I click on Amazon and it says next day, I usually get it the next day, 24 hours. It's amazing. I still scratch my head how they do that. But if you click next day in Hawaii, how long does it take something from Amazon to get to you?
Well, it really depends on where it's being shipped. Sometimes I don't understand how Amazon ships things here, or even just the mainland ships things here. I would say with Prime, I might be able to get it within 3 to 4 days, which isn't too bad. It's not too bad. Yeah. But there's also been times where it's been like 2 weeks. And that's hard. And then there's certain things that don't get shipped here. Anything with a battery, forget about it. Amazon will just not ship it. And so it's hard trying to get, camera batteries or, certain things that, have batteries inside. Like I was looking for an electric scooter. It's pretty impossible to get one even shipped here. They just won't do it unless you just buy it here from some of the local dealers. But it's really hard to get some of that stuff here. And I do think that it affects a lot of people not being able to get that. Hopefully, when Amazon has their warehouse here, at least on Oahu, that will help alleviate some of that problem the shipping time. Yeah. But until then, it is tough. The shipping delay as well as the shipping costs. A lot of the Hawaii, or a lot of the companies that offer shipping to Hawaii, it's just for the 48 states. That's the free shipping. Except Alaska and Hawaii. And then for us, it's like 60, I don't know how much, but it's expensive. Yeah. So understandably, but.
Yeah. And even things like bread and, just.
Oh, yeah. We ship most of our food. I think it's like 90% of our food gets shipped here. So you factor that into the food. Some of the food is twice the cost, maybe more. Yeah. And then you also have to think about the quality of the food. We're not getting it as fresh as, places like Texas, California, Colorado. When I was there, it was like, oh, it's so fresh. But here it's like it's on a boat, and then it comes here, and then blueberries, strawberries start looking kind of not so good.
Yeah. So it's like kind of these little hidden things that we don't realize as tourists. We're paying the premium for certain things, but as a local, you just can't do that for 365 days a year. For us, it's like 1 week we can pay $50 for a salad or whatever.
Yeah.
You're living there. You can't do that every day. Yeah. But let's not be 100% downer on this this podcast, because I know you love Hawaii, and you say it quite often that you're totally blessed to live there. And so let's talk about the best parts about living in Hawaii. What do you like best about living in Hawaii?
Well, for me, it's the family. That's the biggest part, and the culture that family plays a part of. Like Hawaii, having gone to the mainland, I've lived in Oregon. I've been to California. That's not the entire country, but in being in those places, I've seen family is just so different there than it is in Hawaii. It's a lot closer here, and it's not just your immediate family; it's also extended family and like Hanai family, which is like just people that you kind of sort of adopt, so not related to you,
right, but
still you take them in as family.
Uncles and aunties.
Yeah. And you got you got all these uncles, aunties, and cousins that you're like, how are we related? But it's just an amazing feeling, and I think if you ask a lot of people, particularly those who could move away or are thinking about moving away, what keeps them here, it's I would say most of them are going to say it's family. Because you just can't replace that. Like, I would miss the food. I would miss the weather. Weather's great. Beaches. I'm not too big a fan of beaches, but hey, I'd miss seeing the ocean every once in a while.
Yeah.
But really, it's the family, and that's why I think people who do move to Hawaii from the mainland and then they have no family here, I kind of wonder, like, how do they make it? And hopefully they're able to connect with people here locally so that they build up that Hanai family, that local, foundation that, if they got to move and borrow someone's truck, they know they can call somebody and they'll just come down and do it. Or if they have no place to go for a holiday, just call up so-and-so and they'll invite them to their house and they'll be able to spend time with people.
Yeah. Or if you need a lithium-ion battery, you gotta call up someone.
Oh yeah, I know. People have actually offered, though. It's so nice. People have actually offered to bring batteries and things for me because they know how hard it is to get them over here. So I really appreciate that.
Hey man, I owe you one. So next time I'm out there, I'll text you before I come there and let me know what you need. Okay. I'll try to get a scooter in my bag somehow.
Oh yeah.
Well, we are the Infatuasian podcast, and one thing, I didn't get to Hawaii till I think I was 30. I was, an adult, and I had always heard about Hawaii. We're West Coast, and I think of the tourist destinations that I've ever been to, Hawaii really delivered. Because you grow up hearing it's paradise, you grow up hearing it's so different. And then you actually get there and you realize, actually, this place is pretty amazing. The beauty, and like you said, the feeling, and as an Asian American, it's just different too. Like here, San Francisco, we have a lot of Asians, but our politicians are generally not Asian. Our teachers, a lot of times, are not Asian. But in Hawaii, you just look around and you see politicians, you see billboards, you see. Just people working all levels,
Yeah.
And the rest of the country, it's just not like that,
Oh,
Hawaii's so unique.
And that was one of the things that was challenging going, coming from here and going to the mainland is, again, when you walk outside here, you just look around, it's like, I guess what everyone else would consider minority. I just like, just Filipino, Chinese, Korean, it's just like, that's just the population. It's so mixed. But then, on the mainland, it's just like, it's not really like that. Yeah. And again, it's one of those things that it's a huge culture shock for a lot of people. And I know some people that weren't able to handle that. When they went away for school, they just couldn't handle not feeling like they're, I guess, maybe a part of the majority, which here it's kind of a mixed majority, but it's just, they felt so singled out.
Yeah.
But in Hawaii, the diversity is, I hope, one of the things that people see and can appreciate, and then we all generally get along.
Yeah. I have several cousins who went to UH. There's a deal. I forget what the name of the deal is, but basically, if you're from California, you get like local rate for the university.
Tuition. Yeah.
So they're out there, and she's half Chinese and half Caucasian.
Okay.
And so when she got there, well, she's always gone there for vacation, but she was like living there, and she just felt so at home that she's never coming back. She just, she's out there. She's graduating actually this month. I think she's graduating.
Oh, yeah? Oh, wow. Well,
and she said, she told her parents, don't get my room fixed up because I'm staying out here. And I think she went to a school that was predominantly Caucasian. Okay. And she always felt a little out of place, a little othered. And she even got to the point where, like her friend, her really close friends would say stuff, kind of like this microaggression stuff, like, oh, you're really pretty for an Asian, or, you're tall for, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Even though it's kind of joking kind of stuff. But then she got to Hawaii and, she walks around and people think she's local.
Yeah. I mean, I would probably think she's local too.
Yeah. And she just loves it. So she may never come back. But I think that is something of the 50 states. I mean, I think it's one of the more of them. I think it's probably the most unique. The most. You almost feel like you're in another country. I mean, to be honest.
Yeah. I would say to get people prepared. It's still the U.S. dollar, but it's pretty much like another country.
Yeah, the food, just the culture. Yeah, it just feels different in a good way.
Yeah.
All right, so we talked about family, we talked about culture. What else? What else you got for me? Sell me on Hawaii here.
Hawaii.
To make it worth me to spend all this money, $7 on a loaf of bread. What else you got for me?
To me, there's a lot of stuff to do if you like the outdoors.
Oh yeah.
If you're an outdoors person, especially I think of like Kauai, but if you're an outdoors person, there's so much to see. You have the beach, of course. But a lot of the hikes, I really appreciate just the views that you get. It's just, to me, it's so unique. And if you have the time to go to not just where the tourist books or the online top 10 tourist beaches are, and really explore some of the other places, it is just really nice. Yeah. Some of the quietest spots here on Oahu, because it's so loud and busy sometimes. But if you're able to just go and experience that, it's just wonderful. So I think, if you love the outdoors, if you love nature, if you love all these things, that, again, you might not be able to get all of in one particular place. I think it's just, it's great if you have that. If you're into that kind of stuff. Not everyone's into that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I'll throw one in for my wife. She is a raw fish lover. And so whenever we go out there, she will eat poke, at least once a day. Like she gave birth to our first daughter and we went out there, and so she wasn't eating raw fish during that pregnancy.
Oh, okay.
And so I think she overdosed on mercury probably. Right after that, when we went to Hawaii after the newborn, she ate so much raw fish. So I'll throw that in there as the seafood in Hawaii.
Oh yeah, and just like regular local food.
Yeah.
Like I'm glad that there are other places that do have local food. It's starting to expand, but it's hard to really find like a good plate lunch place. It's hard to find like poke. I'm not a poke fan, but for those who like poke and just like a regular just like spam musubi. You can make your own, but it's you can't buy it anywhere. You can't go 7-Eleven. You can't go to supermarket and buy it. It's really tough. So
food for sure. It's good. It's good. So you get to talk about some fun stuff on your channel too. You're not all doom and gloom, right? Congratulations, you're a Zippy's ambassador.
Oh yeah, thank you. That was a surprise. It was I'm very thankful and very grateful to Zippy's. If people don't know what Zippy's is, it's like a local restaurant chain, kind of similar to I guess like Denny's or I don't know. It's just. It had a lot of good local foods, a lot of comfort foods where people like to go, especially like late at night. And you'll hear that a lot. Like, oh yeah, I used to go to Zippy's when I was in high school or college, and we'd go there midnight. It's the only place that's open. But it was so nice when they contacted me and they asked like, oh yeah, you're interested, and I was like, absolutely, and it was just. It was I had a really great conversation with one of the guys there, and they just saw what I was doing. They saw I was consistent, and they really liked what I was talking about. And so that's, as a content creator, that's to me like the dream like scenario is when the brand, big or small, but the brand just like really supports what you're doing. and to get that is really nice as a content creator here, especially because it's a local company, and I'm a local too, so it was really great.
And so we're in the first week of May, so this video will come out. I mean, this podcast will come out a little later, but Chris's video just this week was a bunch of local YouTubers sharing what they love about Zippy's, and it's good. Yeah, it was a good look at what locals like to eat there. And so next time you're in Hawaii, go visit Zippy's. Go try out.
Absolutely.
Go out, try some Zip Pack.
Oh yeah, Zip Pack.
What else are we doing? Oxtail.
Yeah, Korean chicken.
Oh yeah,
the chili and rice is like classic. If you go potluck, people bring Zippy's chili. A lot of good stuff. And the mochi zara.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, we always get those. Yeah. All right. And then so everyone out there, go give Chris's channel a like and subscribe. Go check it out. Lots of good content. Got lots of good local content. A couple things for tourists. It's not all local stuff, right? You have 10 things you wish tourists knew before they came.
Oh yeah. It's not all for locals, and that's always the hard balance as a creator. Trying to figure out who you're talking to out there. And so I try to put some stuff for like local people would get, other people or other content for people that maybe they're thinking about moving here, or just some for tourists. But there's a lot of other great YouTube channels, and that's one of the reasons why I tried to reach out to a lot of them in that Zippy's video, because they talk about a lot of different things. Mostly was the food, but there's other channels that are just, when it comes to like vacation stuff, or just trying to just get a general understanding what's going on here too. There's not just my channel, and that's what's so great about what's really blossomed in the past couple of years is you have all these channels that are coming up that I've never seen before, and I'm like, oh wow, that's great. Like, and they're talking about all these things, and local people can watch, but also people who are not from here, they can also get a taste for what Hawaii is like, more than just the vacation vlog highlight reel.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, so give us a piece of advice for us coming out to visit. What's like a one or two pieces of advice you'd give a tourist coming out there?
Well, try to follow the rules. I think that's important. I mean, really just comes down to respect.
Yeah.
Just remembering that people live here, Americans live here. If you're from America, your fellow Americans, but like people live here, and not just to serve all the time. I mean, we want tourists to come here and have a great time, but we also come home to our families at the end of the day, and we got to come back and do it again. I think some tourists, not all, some, they may think of Hawaii as like a theme park that they just pay a lot of money to come to, and they can do whatever they want, and then they just get to go home. But a lot of people in the tourism industry, they're the ones cleaning up after that. And then they have to reset and then do it again the next day with a whole bunch of other tourists. And so I would just say, like, just keep that in mind. Just respect I think when you come here, that friendliness isn't necessarily like a phony friendliness. Like it's part of our culture to be friendly, like the aloha spirit. But I know there has been some pushback because some locals think, sometimes people take advantage of that. And they think they can do whatever they want, and then they don't have to really, own up to those consequences, whether it's, making a mess, breaking the rules, touching the animals, all these different things. And so I would say, just bringing respect, and just remembering, people, we live here. It's our home. It's not just a park that people can just come and.
Right. Yeah. Hawaii is not a corporation like Disneyland, like they're
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, good advice. You got now I don't want you to give away your ultimate secret spot, but you got kind of a semi locals only secret spot.
I don't know. It's really hard to say. I was hesitant to give out the real secret spot. It's so hard now because social media.
I don't want your secret spot.
But I would say like underrated spot.
Okay.
Having moved in town, I really like Kaka'ako Waterfront Park, and it's such a strange like park because it's kind of close to Ala Moana Beach. There's no beach, when you go there. But it's like a lot of like hill that you could walk. It's green and it has an amazing view. And if you catch it right at the right time of the year, you can catch the sunset going right into the water. And a lot of parking, not crowded at all. It's in town, it's close by. You're not traveling super far away. And it's just really nice. It's a nice green space in the back set of what is downtown, which is all these buildings and condos and things now. So I really like that place. It's close to where we live, so it also makes it very convenient. But I just look at that place, I'm like, man, nobody like uses that. Like nobody goes there, and it's to me very underrated. You get to see the ocean. It's right there hitting up against the rocks. And yeah, you can walk. There's paths you can just walk. It's just very peaceful. I think it's a great place that for me and my family, we try to go there. I think we're going there like maybe like once a week or twice a week when we could during the pandemic time. Because nobody was there, and it's just so nice.
Yeah. All right, good tip. I'm gonna write that one down for next time we're there. All right, last one on this round. Then we're gonna start the lightning round. So get ready for that one.
Okay.
So last one for this round is other than Oahu, what's another favorite island of yours?
Oh, I love Kauai.
I do.
I have family in Hilo, which is the big island. But I love Kauai. I think if you are looking for what I would consider like local Hawaii, small communities, just small town feel, I would say Kauai is just the best place for that. It seems like everyone knows everyone. And if I could, I would love to move to Kauai. If there was a job for me there and a house, I would be like, we're just going to Kauai because I have family there too. And it's just great. Every time I go there, it's just so wonderful. They have my absolute like favorite taro chips.
Oh,
it in this small like house they make it in Hanapepe. It's just this like small house, and this guy just makes the taro chips. Oh, it's so good. I usually buy like 8 to 10 bags. We go to when we go to Hawaii, we typically go to Kauai for a week. Okay, and love it. But then we get a little. Honestly, we get a little stir crazy. We need to go to Honolulu for a couple days just to get a little city feel. Oh yeah. It can be boring. It's like, quiet. At night at like 6, 7 o'clock. It's everything. It's pretty quiet. Everything's closed. Everything is closed, and you're like, oh, it's kind of boring. But yeah, so yeah, that's a good mix though. Kauai and also Oahu. Yeah. All right, so are you ready for the lightning round? Sure. You sound ready. Okay, let's see. Yeah. So you said you're not a beach person, but do you have a favorite beach in Oahu? Yeah, I would say my favorite beach is, I know it's probably overused, but Lanikai Beach. Yeah. And that beach is beautiful. It's really tough to put that beach up and put that beach up against anyone and pick the other one because the water is so clear. It's like a turquoise. Yeah. You can just see right through it, and it's really, really beautiful. It's probably my favorite. Yeah. Good luck parking there, but yeah. You're gonna have to walk. Yeah. Actually, that was a cute little town too. Kailua. Yeah. When you go to the beach there and you go into the town, it's touristy, but not as touristy as like Waikiki. Yeah, that's like the cousin town to where I grew up in Kaneohe. So Kailua is like the rich cousin town. So yeah. Yeah. All right. If you had to choose only one, now I cheated. I kind of looked at your tier list, so I kind of picked things that I know you like a little bit. Okay. So if you could only choose one between a malasada, shave ice, or Zippy's pumpkin pie, what are you grabbing? Zippy's pumpkin pie all the time. Except they only have it during Thanksgiving. That's the thing, right? Yeah, that makes it special. They used to have it all the time. So when I would come home from like college, like during the breaks, I would stop and get plate lunch, but all the time we had Zippy's pumpkin pie, and you can buy any time. But now they only have it during Thanksgiving. But yeah, 100%. If it's there, I would just buy it. I would just buy the Zippy's pumpkin pie. It's so good. And I don't know. It's like no one else talks about that. I feel like I'm the only person who likes it, but I'm like, this is the best pumpkin pie.
Yeah. See, if there were more of you, they'd probably have it all year long. But I guess it's.
I know I have to buy more every time it comes. I think I bought like 4 this past year during Thanksgiving, and we just froze it. But it's just like, yeah, it's too bad.
That's cool. That's cool. All right. Again, pick one: Simon, Loco Moco, or Spam Mazubi.
Ooh. Well, rainy day. It's been raining. I would say Simon, but probably on an average day it would be Loco Moco. I love Loco Moco. It's so good, and if you get the ones with really good gravy, man, it's not healthy, but
it's comfort food.
Yeah, it tastes so good, and you'll be full.
Yeah, we were in Kauai, and we go. What's the name of the famous Simon place in Hawaii? Hanamura's.
Oh, Hamura Simon.
Hamura, Hamura Simon.
That is so good.
So good, but it's so weird because it's like 80 degrees outside, humid, and you're sitting in there sweating into a bowl of Simon. But
and then they have the counter style,
Yeah.
So that's unusual. It makes it really special. But yeah, I've never seen like counter style where you just stay on the counter and then they serve you real fast. But it's so good.
And the aunties have been there for 40 years.
Oh yeah. I would fly to Kauai just to get the Simon and then fly home. I wish I could do that. It's it's worth it to me. It's good.
Oh wow. Okay.
Good endorsement there. Yeah.
Okay, Loco Moco, but if it's super cold. Super cold, meaning 60, right?
Yeah. Or just a little rainy. You just like, okay. Yeah, low 70s. Okay, Simon.
All right. And you're an English teacher, right? Or you are an English teacher, so you can choose a book, a movie, or a show filmed on Hawaii or about Hawaii. What's your favorite? It could be fiction or nonfiction, book, movie, or show about Hawaii.
Well, I just recently finished Hawaii by James Michener. And I'm going to talk about the upcoming video. I really enjoyed that. It's like 1,000 pages. It's super long. I've never read a book about Hawaii, especially that long. It's fiction, so I can't really say it's like a history book. But I think it qualifies as like historical fiction.
You did some research, I guess. Huh?
Yeah, and it's sort of based on I think some of the events that happened here, and it was just amazing. It starts with the creation of the islands, and then it moves to all the different like time periods, and it sort of ends with just before statehood. And you have all these different groups moving to Hawaii, Chinese, Japanese, and to me, it was such an epic book. I wish they would make a TV show, like an HBO series would do really well.
Yeah,
doing that whole book. I know they had movies about it in the past, but yeah. And I would say for a movie, it's kind of childish, but I like Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah.
like I enjoyed it. I was proud of that movie when it came out. Like, it's in Hawaii. That's cool. So the music is great. So.
Yeah, and the characters look local. Like they weren't like super stylized. Yeah.
They look like local people. Sometimes they speak and talk like local people too. But I thought that movie was really good in terms of at least putting Hawaii in the spotlight for a little bit. Of course, they had aliens and other things.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it. It was a nice mix.
Yeah, and the soundtrack is really good on that one.
Yeah, the music.
All right, so we have this segment that we end on here in the Infatuasian podcast. We're going to ask you who your infatuation is. An infatuation is any Asian person that you admire that could be living or deceased. It could be someone you know, could be someone you don't know. So, Chris, who is your infatuation?
Well, I don't know if I can narrow it down to one person, but I would say, I think about all the people that we're really proud of in Hawaii. We're really proud of our, UH football team, when they do well. We're proud of our volleyball teams when they do well and win championships. And we're proud of our Little League World Series teams and all the athletes and musicians and everybody who's from Hawaii. We're really proud of all of them. But I would say for me, it would be the guys who volunteered during World War II. Especially like the Nisei Japanese Americans in 442nd. My grandfather was a part of that, so it's really special for me being a part of that through him. But I think about those guys who volunteered. Like, I know historically what's happening on the mainland was a little bit different than what was happening here to Japanese Americans. But when I think about the time and the fact that all these guys volunteered, just knowing the historical context of that and how hard it must have been for them to do that. It's like, to me, that's amazing.
It's hard to imagine that decision, you know?
Yeah. And part of the book mentioned that it talked about some of those Japanese Americans who had to make that choice, these local boys who, their father, their mother, they're from Japan, and yet they're kind of conflicted, right? And because they're Americans, they're born here, they're raised here, and so that's who they identify with. Yeah, I don't think I could have done that. It would have been really hard for me. Just like the character, integrity, courage, all of that type of stuff.
Yeah.
To be able to do that at that time period, just to me, just so amazing. So I would put all those guys in that group. And just really proud to have been, proud that my grandfather was part of that.
Yeah. There's a reason they call that the greatest generation. Those guys made some sacrifices for the rest of us, so that we can live with our head held up high. Yeah. Good choice. Absolutely. Good pick. Well, that does it for our episode on Hawaii. We could talk more about vacationing another time, but thanks a lot for coming on, Chris. I know you had a tough couple weeks just now. So.
Oh yeah, but we're doing good. We're recovering, and we're doing good. We're just preparing for the new kid to come, and that'll be fun.
Keiki number 2.
Yes.
Let me tell you, I got 2, and when that second one comes, it's for a couple years there, man. When you got a little one and a baby, that's a little rough.
Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. I'm preparing the YouTube channel slowly for that, but probably take a little break, or at least prepare some videos for that time, because I know it's going to be a tough transition, but one that I'm looking forward to, and hopefully we're going to grow as a family together, and really hopefully it'll change me and grow me as a person, and that'll affect the content that I make for the channel.
One kid is too easy, man. You got it was like, between my wife and I, it's like, oh, well, I'm going to go out. You're okay with the one kid. But when you have 2 kids, you just feel bad about going out, and you only got 2 hands, there's only so much you can do. But but it's super fun when you see them play together, or, when there's so much specialness with having 2. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
So your socials, YouTube, Hello from Hawaii, Instagram, same name, yeah?
Yes.
All right. So thank you so much for everyone. Go watch a video. Go watch 300 videos. I don't know how many you have, but go watch all the videos from Chris on there. Hello from Hawaii. Go give his Instagram a follow. If you want to follow us or listen to us, you know where to find us. We're on all the podcast platforms and on Instagram and Facebook at The Infatuasian Podcast. Go ahead and write in at infatuasianpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you all for listening out there. We hope you learned something. That is something that we try to do with every episode, is talk about something you might not know anything about or as much about. So thank you all for listening out there. And on behalf of Chris and myself, we hope that you're all happy, healthy, and safe out there. Thanks again for listening, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye.
Awesome. Thanks.